everybody, it's Ann Kaplan from Mommy, your mama resource from conception to college. Wherever you are in your momming journey, we are here for you. And the theme in the group this week is money mindset. I've been talking so much about money mindset this week because my partner Samantha and I have been teaching a Mompreneur Mastery masterclass. And the concept of money mindset has come up so many times. And oftentimes we believe that what's holding us back in our ability to enjoy life or have the abundance that we want is maybe a lack of skill or a lack of money or a lack of resources. But what you might discover, especially if you decide that you want to work with a coach, is that you might be being held back just by your mind about money. And today is Wednesday. It's my baby mama day. It's my day that I talk to all of you moms out there who are planning a birth, getting ready to have a baby, dealing with pregnancy, all that stuff. And let's talk about money mindset when it comes to birth, because I bet that if you're planning to have a baby, you are thinking of having a baby, whether it's buying all the stuff that you need to have for a baby or you think you need to have for a baby, whether it's thinking about how much it's going to cost to have your baby, how much it's going to cost your family over time. I know when I had my first kid, I kept thinking, like, we need like life insurance now, we need to have a college savings plan now, and what about childcare, what about putting our kids in preschool, all of those things. And especially if you feel that you're being held back by your financial status, it becomes really overwhelming really quickly when we start thinking about having a kid and what the financial implications of that are. So I want to really walk you back a little bit and just talk about birth when it comes to money right now. I can't tell you how many clients I've interviewed with who have told me, when I say, tell me about what your rainbows and unicorns dream birth scenario is, that they say stuff like, well, ideally I would really love to have my baby in a birth center, or I really would love to have a home birth, but our insurance doesn't cover it, and it would be so much more affordable for us to just have our baby in the hospital. And if you're from Denver and if you have Kaiser insurance, I bet that you're dealing with that a big bunch, because having your baby with Kaiser is practically free. It's so affordable. And if you decide that the opportunities that are offered to you through your insurance, especially if you have Kaiser, are not what you want for your birth, you then become faced with this really big dilemma of like, okay, but times that by 1,000,000 what I'm going to have to pay to have my baby the way I want to. And I really want to encourage you to start thinking about your birth a different way, because it is worth it for you to really in touch with what kind of a birth you want to have. Imagine that money's no object just during the part of this exercise where you're trying to figure out what you want, because when you allow money stuff to cloud your judgment when you're thinking about your birth, it becomes really easy to actually not be able to figure out what you even want. So give yourself permission, just while you're thinking about your birth and coming up with your idea of what you want, to pretend that money is no object, that we live in a world where anyone can have their baby however they want, and money has nothing to do with it, just so that you can figure out what you want. Because there's a million ways to skin a cat when it comes to paying for your birth, but what can really detract from you having a positive birth experience is forcing yourself to have a baby in a no, it's not what's right for you and your body and what you believe in and what you feel like is best for your baby and all that stuff because of money. How do we know that? Do a smooth and uneventful delivery is for you to be in the place comfortable. You can really do what you need to do to have a baby. And what you're going to end up with intervention you didn't want, and often more interventions and more things being piled up on top of themselves that could have been avoided if you had followed kind of what you needed for your birth. Does that mean that you just go into massive amounts of debt for your birth plan? Absolutely not. But I can tell you from experience working with home birth midwives that almost all of them are willing to work with you on price, work with you on payment and stuff like that. If having a home birth is something you're committed to doing, you can make it happen. If you're decided that you want to have your baby in a specific way or in a specific place, please don't let money be the thing that stops you. If you know that you want to have a doula or you want to take a childbirth class that's independently taught and not taught by the hospital, you can make that happen for yourself. The people who work in the birth world do not do it because we get rich doing it. I promise you that. So an analogy that I want to leave you with when you're thinking about your birth, which I always joke, I used to joke around with other doulas about this when I was kind of lamenting people who felt held back by finances from having the kind of birth that they wanted. I would say, you know, these people that are interviewing me are balking at spending a couple of $1,000s to have a home birth or a couple of $100s to have a really great childbirth class. But they got married, and I bet if you ask them how much their wedding cost, it would be tens of thousands of dollars for so many people. And even when it's not that much money, it's usually way, way more than it costs to have a home birth doula or home birth midwife or have really great childbirth education or have an out-of-hospital birth. And so what I wished I would have been brave enough to say to some of these clients is, which is more important to you, your wedding or your baby's birth into this world? And not to say that marriage isn't important. Your marriage is very, very important. But your wedding, how important was your wedding and how much were you willing to spend on it? Think about how important the way that your baby enters this world is, and ask yourself, when it comes to getting what you need and honoring the cues and signs giving you about what's right and the right way to start your family. So I hope that maybe jars a little bit of different thinking into your mind and makes you think a little bit more about the value. Is always negative and always destructive, especially when it comes to something important as your. I hope you guys have an amazing day, and I hope you keep tuning in all week long, because I'm going to be talking about money mindset tomorrow when it comes to setting great examples for our children about not how to be responsible about. Have a